interesting situation of all the relationships I've ever had. And we're going to cover all sorts of relationships today. We're going to talk about relationships with family. We're going to talk about relationships with stepchildren and children and parents, um, and friends, of course. And Brenda's been my friend for 25 years. I met her in KL, and we have been like almost inseparable since. She's my right hand man, and she does all the stuff I'm not very good at, all the admin. And it's the perfect relationship. We've never ever fallen out. And whenever either of us feel that there's something that's a little bit between us, we both step away, let it all go, because we always hold that relationship is more important. Our love is greater than any issues that can come between us. And it's interesting because all the best relationships in my life work exactly on that basis. And it's just, I thought, it'd be a good way to start to think that whenever you have an issue in a relationship, ask yourself, which is more important, the love or being right? And what, even with my husband, I say even, that's not very fair to say that, but I would say specifically with my husband that we have the situation where we are, there are times when I could kill him. There are times where I could see he wants to kill me. You know, and when that happens, we just, oh, well, step back. We just step back. So it, he always says, I'll just put myself in speaker. He always says that it's, oh, that's not worked, has it? Go back to gallery view. He always says it's more important than our love, and our relationship is more important. That's more value than, you know, where we go for holiday, or whether we spend our money on that, or do we take the dogs now or later, or all the nonsense stuff that people argue about in relationships. So unless it's something really big and serious, of course, then we'll talk about whether you should walk away or whether you should stay, because those are the things that, there's always the options as well. Okay, so I'm going to set up my slideshow now. So right. Now I'm recording, so if you want to make your face disappear, if you're worried about anybody seeing your face that's not here, just let you know that. You can always, there is a button there that you can lose yourself somehow. It's entirely up to you. So this is what we're talking about. I'm setting up a Centre for Spiritual Empowerment. That's my training school. And these workshops will all running from this online training school, just to let you know. Now, what will you need while we're doing this? So if any of you, and some of you have been through healing with me, you know how often I get out the thread. So if you've got any threads you can have nearby, that would be cool. That would be really good. And you'll need pen and paper, and it might be worth having your journal around as well. So I'll give you a sec to sort that out. None of you have got to go far anyway to get that. Good. Okay. It's always useful to have a journal when you're putting yourself through any form of healing. And there will be times in your life when you have a stronger need to go through healing than others. Whenever you're going through this sort of healing phase, the shifting phase, as I call it, it's really good to have a journal, because it gives you, it makes you think about what's going on with yourself and what changes are happening. So it's useful having a journal. Right. All relationships can be challenging, whatever. And we, as I say, we're going to be looking at a whole different range of relationships today. And a lot of things I'll be telling you about the relationship with your siblings or with your parents can also reflect and refer to your and other relationships in your life. So they've come from. Hi, Sandra.
Hi.
Haven't missed anything, darling. Sorry.
Oh, good.
A techie problem, I'm sure. Uh,
Yeah.
Brenda can now stop having a nervous breakdown. Hi, Jackie. Glad you can join us. Sorry that there was a bit of a technical hitch at the beginning, but we're all together now. Um, and as I say, it's all being recorded anyway. So I'm just talking about all relationships at this point. They can be challenging. There's the balance we always have to have in relationships between speaking your truth and being um, and being honest about what you believe, but not. Can you mute yourself? That's it. I just put it there. And but being tactful as well. So, and if you've got a different ideology, I've just fallen out with a girlfriend and a while back now, because I was too quick to be strong in my views about an ideology, and I've regretted it. I need to just speak my truth, but I should have been more gentle about it. And I was discussing this with a friend of mine, and she said, you know, they say they cannot argue with a whispering man, and I thought that was a really good expression. That if you have a situation where you are clashing with somebody about something that really matters to you, in clashing in the sense that you don't have the same beliefs, it's best to always speak your truth quietly. And from my heart, I'd say that, because I wished I had been a little quieter in the way I uh, I put my point of view across. So I learned a big lesson there. Um, so the whispering man, just remember the whispering man. Keep your voice soft. People strain to hear; they will want to hear you. And if you shout, the chances are they'll try and block you out. So always, when you're in a confrontational situation, just think about that. Drop your voice, go into soft mode. You'll probably find you have a lot more effect. All relationships have a problem when we have different expectations, and we will be looking more into expectations in our uh, personal um, in our relationships with our partners in a bit. Expectations in life generally cause suffering. They uh, they expect if you expect yourself or others to do things that they're not going to do, you're going to be disappointed. So they nearly always lead you to disappointment. Um, you expect, and I expect, we all expect people to treat us with respect and to be grateful when we do good things. It doesn't always work out that way, and sometimes it's because people themselves don't have the same expectations as us. They don't have the same standards, don't have the same morals, don't have the same ethics, are not on the same wavelength, they're not on the same. But we can still have half decent relationships with people, even if they're not exactly on our wavelength. But it takes a bit more working. Of course, different backgrounds, different financial situations, all have to be managed. Um, the picture here is about rigid people. Um, Rigid people find relationships difficult. I found that picture on the internet. I thought, I like him. He's a good guy. I doubt if he's as rigid as he looks. Um, but the message is to be flexible. And if you want, keep remembering what I said right at the beginning. Do you want this relationship to work? Is it important to you? If it is, then do everything you possibly can to make it work. And one of the main, very important things in a relationship, from my experience, is to be flexible, not to stick to your guns and this is what I believe, so I'm going to stick to it. Yeah, you might believe that, fair enough, but is there a middle ground? Do the Buddha route, the middle ground. Always try to find the middle ground. And you know, the way you treat people in relationships starts to become catching. So if you um, go into a relationship in a caring and loving and respectful way, the chances are the other person will start to be the same, even if they're not to start with. Maybe they haven't learned that about good relationships. Maybe they haven't learned about loving. We get people, a lot of people who have had tough childhoods with no love shown to them. And you meet a person like that, you fall in love with each other, but then you actually have to teach that person how to love, how to have a loving relationship. They've never had it before. You take on quite a task when you step into those situations, but it can be done. Always you being the leader and the showing the way, the teacher. And very often we have soulmates who we meet who our whole task in this lifetime is to teach them about love and loving. If a relationship gets too toxic, always be prepared to walk away. There's that important relationship that we are going to talk about at the end, which is the relationship with yourself. And you have to be true to that as well. And you cannot really be true to yourself if you're in a relationship which is toxic, throwing toxic abuse, emotional abuse, degrading you, pulling you down, making you feel bad about yourself every day. Be prepared to walk away if it gets too toxic. Um, my yardstick about any relationship is that, does that person make you feel good about yourself, or does that person make you feel bad about yourself? That's more important than whether they are, you feel good because you're with them because they're good looking or they're fun and all that. That's great, good for them. But does that person make you feel good about yourself? Being with that person, you feel good about yourself? Because if you don't, that's just never going to move forward in a loving way. You're just going to get more and more uh, downtrodden, low self-esteem and all that stuff. And that is not what this is about. Right, now, I put this in because we all have a shadow. And our shadow is our unhealed part. Our shadow is what that part of us that we haven't resolved from past lives, wounds, imprints, old memories that still haunt us, and your shadow are your fears and your anger and your frustrations and um, your own lack of confidence and the fear of being overwhelmed, the fear of being controlled. All those things are your shadow. And what often happens in a relationship is that the shadow becomes the prism through which you relate to the other person. It's like a screen or a pair of glasses that everything is seen through and everything is projected through. So if you imagine yourself, there's a screen in front of you and it's holding all your fears, anxieties and everything. Every conversation you have goes through that screen and distorts it. So the other person will always be seeing you as an angry person or an upset person, or I'm on eggshells, I'm scared to upset that person. So it, it's absolutely imperative that you put right at the top of your to-do list is to heal those imprints, heal those aspects of you that create your shadow. And it can take a long time. Some of this stuff goes very deep. It starts from way back in old lifetimes, stuff that's deep in your soul that you've hidden away, very often hidden because of shame. We often hide the darkest side of ourselves and don't look at it and don't acknowledge it because we're ashamed. And I mean, I'm a bit ashamed about the way I flared up at my friend that I told you about. And I'm working on that. It's like the most important thing for me to work on. Why did I get so upset when somebody, well, actually, I'll tell you what she said. She says, she told me that the virus was a hoax. And that hurt me terribly because my husband, if he catches it, will die. He's very, very, very low immune system. And Brenda's got very low immune system, my best friend and my husband. So that's not an excuse, but I was very sensitive to that particular comment. So I jumped down her throat. Not good, not good at all. So anyway, I'm working on it, and I suggest you put that on your to-do, your journal. Put what you need to heal, and try to switch the prism and deliberately, everything changes with our intention. How do I make this thing happen? How do I heal this? How do I find what I'm here to do? All these questions. The answer is to start with having the intention of finding out, the intention of healing, the intention of understanding. Because as soon as you put that intention out, you're sending out a vibration that will be matched by the universe. That is the law of attraction. That is the law of manifesting, the law of creation. So the first thing you need to do, is to make a list of all the issues and your touchy spots and any baggage that you bring to a relationship. I don't think there's anybody here under 21, so you've all had relationships, and if you're honest, you'll know that some of the reasons they've failed, if they failed, have been down to you. Not that we're looking to find guilt in you here, but to be honest about ourselves. What are the issues that keep coming up in relationships? And we create everything in our lives, everything. We create the negative and the positive. On one level, everything we go through and experience, we create. So it's no good holding that, oh, he did this, he did that, she did this, she did that attitude, because that absolutely takes you nowhere forward in healing. It takes you nowhere forward in releasing the stuff that's caused the problem. Maybe you not very discerning about the people you meet and you have close relationships, but that would be a lesson in itself. That again would be you, though, who you choose. So just have a moment to think, and if you're not going to do it now, make a note to do it at some stage in the next few days. What are your unhealed wounds? What is it in your personality that makes you inflexible, if it is? And could you change? Could you change any of that inflexibility? Could you change any of those issues that trouble you for love? Because once you've decided that you do, you're on the right track. And if you've been struggling to find a partner, it could be that you need to deal with certain issues before that's going to happen. So those are general things about relationships. Now I'm going to look at specifics, at some specifics, and I will be doing some healing sessions as we go through. Okay. Now this may or may not relate to you if you don't have children, but if you may come across the fact you're going to have stepchildren at some stage, and it can be quite challenging. I'm speaking from my heart here. So I stepped into a relationship when I was 39, and I took on two stepchildren. One was 14 and one was 16, a girl and a boy. And some of the greatest challenges I've ever met in my life. I thought careers all over the world, traveling, international sales, computer business, all the things that I've been through, and running a punch room in Essex was pretty challenging. and then I got two stepchildren, and that was the big one, the really big one. The big challenge comes because with our children and our stepchildren, we can't walk away if things get difficult. There is no exit door. There is no way of saying that's So you have to make so much more work at it, and you do have a sense of duty to fulfill as the mother or the father. And fortunately, we are more accepting, far more accepting of the things that our children do than we are of. Uh, we're much more accepting, far more tolerant than we would be to friends or partners. And I mean, I've seen women and men go through some fathers and mothers go through some horrendous times with their children, but they always they 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 stick at it much more than any other relationship. So obviously we have a lot to learn through our relationships with our children. And just remember that there's two things I want you to remember here. One is that you choose the children and the children choose you. Remember too that you're here playing a role. So your spirit and you're on earth playing the role of the mother or the father, or and also of the child in that relationship of when you're the child. So the roles you're playing. Um, just it's worth keeping going back to that point and remembering that your spirit and your soul and spirit will carry on. The personality character mix that you've made for this lifetime will be reshuffled and rechanged for the next lifetime. And it's you're here to learn lessons and to teach people things too through the experiences you share. The goal above all else is to find love in yourself and to find love in another person. And having children is a great way to find love. People's lives change when they hold their first baby. That feeling of overwhelming love that hits them, and it is a major transformation. But it can go wrong. It can go wrong. There can be some horrible things happen in a relationship between you and your children. And I think it's worth just taking a few moments for us to look at that. My experiences have been mainly with I've been totally with stepchildren. I only got pregnant once and I lost the baby. So I haven't had the physical child issues, but I have had the stepchildren situation, and I'm very close to my stepchildren, and there have been challenges. The most important thing with children is to make sure they always know they can come back and the door's always open for them. And they will always challenge you the most because they know they can get away with challenging you. And especially when they're in their teens, they're going to be finding their own levels, and they're going to be finding out about themselves, they're going to be finding out about the world and emotions, and they'll be testing. And the one place where they can test and push the hardest is at home with you, where they know they'll always be loved. Now, if between two people will always be a cord. When two people care about each other, there's a cord created, an etheric cord that flows between the two of you from your heart. Whenever things start to go wrong in a relationship, the emotions that are held in that cord drop. So the vibration drops as anger, frustration, irritation, and all the negative emotions start to guilt. Guilt is a big thing with parents. We always feel guilty that we haven't done as much or whatever. It's always a big issue. But all those emotions that flow into the cord drop the level of the cord, drop your vibration, and drop the other person's vibration too. So it's really useful to hold that intention to keep clearing the cord. And when you take a thread like this, it's just symbolic. It's an intention, showing what your intention is through the symbolism. Going to break the thread, to cut the cord, and that cutting of the cord to release all the negative emotions that run between you. So do that frequently when they're driving you mad, when you want to. Right, calm down, break the thread, release the energy, and just say, I release and clear all negative energies that flow between us now, right now, right now. And just to dissolve all that stuff that build up between you, because your thoughts are energy, and energy is a tangible thing that causes a lot of problems, negative energy. So from where I sit, seeing a lot of mothers and fathers these days, particularly, it didn't happen so much in my day, but these days seems to be a feeling of necessity to control children, um, in a way, or manage their lives, fix their lives, and become entangled in their lives much more than when we were brought up. As I'm older now, I'm over 70, so my mum and father felt more their job was to sit on the sidelines and be there when there was an emergency or I needed help. Just knowing that as soon as someone starts to try and control you, and this goes for all relationships, you want to resist that. I mean, I do. I can't bear anybody telling me what to do, and I'm sure you're the same. So that's another issue that comes into a lot of relationships. Try not to tell people what to do. Nobody likes to be told. Make suggestions, and don't try and fix them. I mean, I don't want someone to fix me. I might want some help, and I go to a person and ask for help. I don't want being told what I ought to be doing. It, it's one of the downsides of having lots of friends who are very wise on alternative medicines and so on. But if I were to say, oh, crick in my I've got a crick in my neck, there's about 20 different things that I ought to be doing for it. Sometimes it's all done with a lot of love and kindness, but you can overdo it. You're never going to get it right in a relationship with your children, not all the time. And when there's another thing that a friend of mine was talking to me about the other day, is that she feels that a lot of people try to be friends with their children. And she says they don't. They've got plenty of friends. They don't need more friends. They don't need another friend. What they need is somebody who's much greater than a friend. And a mother and a father is much greater than a friend. There is friendship there, but it's much greater. And I think holding that role of being a mother is, you have to be prepared to speak your truth and tell when you think, give them the guidance, especially when they're younger, when you see them going down the wrong path. And be more honest. A friend's more likely to just go along with anything someone says, but you can give the truth from your wisdom of you do gain wisdom as you get older, and there's nothing wrong in sharing that. Just don't try to control people, that's all. So, and when it all goes really, really wrong and you two can't speak to each other at all, my tactic is to put the person in a garden. And this goes for all relationships when things go really wrong. What I do is I see that person in a beautiful garden. And this is a beautiful garden. So give you a nice garden to look at. Put the person in a beautiful garden, break the thread, and then send them love. And it sort of like takes them away from being right in your face spiritually and energetically, put them in a garden, and then send them all the love that you can, distance healing, anything that you can do, seeing them well, seeing them happy, seeing them in a good place. And that's a very positive, loving thing to do. And it takes you out of that anger and upset that you may be feeling. So as soon as they're causing you too much upset, just separate yourself from them and see them in a good place. It's just a powerful thing to do. It's always worked for me. I've got a friend who puts the names of people who upset her in the freezer. Now, I definitely do not. I think that's the good route to go. But I suppose that's the total extreme of my putting them in the garden. My advice is put them in the garden. So, what if they get into drugs, which is a problem a lot of people have these days? Whatever route they're on, um, whatever route they're on, keep sending them love. In the garden if they may be, but keep sending them love. Um, just to remember that uh, uh, nobody at the age of 5 wants to end up, their dream for their life is never to end up in a gutter as an addict, and it's nobody's dream. Something's definitely gone wrong to get there and there, but the going wrong could be something that's happened in a past life, not what you've done with them, nothing that you've done that's caused it. As soon as anybody's child goes into drugs, the parents start to feel guilty. What have I done? So step away from that. Look honestly at what's going on in the relationship, but step away from the guilt. Um, and the other thing too is that what we're all looking for is that sense of ecstasy which you get when you reach evolvement, when you've cleared all the wounds, when you've managed to find the love in yourself and the love in others, and that love in yourself most of all. And when you've found that and you've reached that state, it's just like ecstasy. Drugs are are a copy of that feeling, that wonderful aesthetic feeling. So when someone takes a social drug, they are seeking that feeling. So they're on they're in the direction of looking for the ecstasy, but they're going down the wrong path for it. So it's actually not so surprising that teenagers go down that path. With they soon, especially, and it's not necessarily to be running away from what's going on in their life. It's also the sense of eventual discovery that they go through. So, if they become abusive to you, don't join in. Remember the whispering man. Nobody argues with the whispering man. I don't know whether that's strictly true, but we can find out. Keep yourself clear. Keep yourself re-energized. Um, when you're being shouted at, just visualize yourself ducking and don't take it personally. Because when someone's really angry with you, very often it may be what you've done, but it could also be the stuff they're going through themselves. And with teenagers, it could be their own angst that they're going through, as much as it is something that you've done. You're just in the wrong place at the wrong time, and they're going to throw their stuff at you. So if you take it personally, it's going to really bring you down, and it's also going to make you more confrontational. So just duck. Remember, 4-letter word, duck. Sweet. Keep your energy. Use your hands. This is something we do in healing. Is we use our hands as combs and sweep through your aura, and just keep clearing your energy, and that clears away all the blocks in your meridians. It also clears away upsetting thought forms, anxiety, and stress, and just sweep it off your shoulders too. All that the burden of carrying it carries with relationships that are going wrong, and then just and keep breathing calmly. And you can bring your energy back, because sometimes it scatters when you're under stress. You're definitely under stress when you've got a teenager in the family who's abusive or upset or going on the wrong path themselves. Now just bring your energy back to you like this. All right. And just breathe and keep calm. Just keep calm. And then for yourself, to have fun. Find something to make you laugh. Put a good film on. Friends that make you laugh. Anything deliberately work at lifting your own energy up. And the final thing I'm saying here is that their higher self is in charge of them and their soul journey, and there'll be a reason why they're taking this route that seems a very rocky route, but there will be a reason for it. So, relationships with parents. Tricky one sometimes. Again, it can be also very tricky, and you can often wonder, why did I choose these parents? But there will be lessons there. There'll be lessons that they have taught you and you've taught them. The lessons go both ways. Even if you are in the right, still keep the relationship going. You will regret it if you don't. And you could still do the stepping away, seeing them in the garden, keep sending the light. And they understand that things move very fast in our world now. Things change, attitudes change, consciousness is changing very fast. And we're in a very different consciousness now than where our parents were born and brought up. So the energy that they were brought up in is a very different one to the one we are living in now. Although we actually, I do feel at the moment we might be going backwards a bit with our lockdowns to the state of the last war. Try to use a bit of understanding, but step back if you're feeling abused. Do not let yourself be abused by anyone, including your parents. Don't join in, don't start hurling insults, but do clear the energies that build up for yourself. And the way you can do that is to write down your feelings and then burn your writing. So when your mother or your father drives you insane, just step back, but write all the feelings you have rather than bottling them in, which is what you probably did as a child, or when you were younger, you bottled it in, and then you've got all sorts of stuff to deal with now. But when anything comes up currently, write it down and burn it. It's a way of getting rid of the low frequency energy, the toxic energy. I've written a book about caring for an elderly loved one based on my experiences when I looked after my mother and my husband when he was ill. And it's about very much keeping your own strength and your own will and your own energy, because it is very demanding and very debilitating. So it's caring for a loved one. It's on Amazon if you're interested. There's a lot of stuff in there about how you can look after yourself but still have a good relationship with them. Right, so we're going to do a meditation now for healing any issues that you have between your parents and with your children. So I'm going to break some thread, but I'm going to just send you the healing now. So just hold in your own mind, or even quickly write down what it is you want to heal. You might want to put siblings on this as well, because I'm not doing them separately. So if you've got issues with sisters or brothers, you can put that down as well. They're all people that are very close to us when we grow up, and this is often where challenges come. So just drop your shoulders and relax and breathe in deeply. And I surround you with the blue flame of Archangel Michael. And I surround myself with the blue flame. I surround you with the golden star tetrahedron that spins to create a light body around you. Feel and know that your energy is completely surrounded, sealed and protected, and all is well. And as you breathe, breathe out your stress. And as you breathe in peace and calm. See the doors of your heart opening to receive. Wider and wider your heart opens. And I call in the highest frequency of light that you need at this time to heal the pain, the hurt, the bad feelings, the guilt, the shame, the anger, the sense of being misunderstood, the sense of being taken for granted, the sense of not being respected, all the hurts and issues that you hold between your parents, your children, or your siblings. And allow yourself to feel the hurt in your heart now. Sometimes it can be so extreme you feel you're being stabbed in the heart. Sometimes it feels so much that you feel that your whole energy or your will is being taken from you with their dominance and control. Sometimes you can feel such a sense of injustice. But why? Why are they treating me this? Why did you treat me this way? And maybe you feel that you can't speak your truth with them. Well, maybe you can't. It may be just so. In which case you have to speak your truth with yourself. Write it down. Doesn't matter if they don't love you. Move into a space where you love yourself. Maybe you find your love elsewhere. But we bring in the loving, healing energies now that go and find these hurts that are in your heart. Deep, deep in your heart. Deep, 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 that you push down so far. I feel your pain, and we heal your pain now with love, right now, right now, right now. Allow this loving energy to flow to where you hurt the most. And with your intention, allow that energy to shift and change. Allow the pain to release. Allow yourself to let go of the anger, and we transform all low energies that have been pushed down inside you as a result of the way you've been treated. Healing your heart now, the deepest, deepest parts of your heart. Healing your broken heart. Healing now in your soul. The love flows and deep into your soul and finds the wounds, the memories that you still hold, the memories of abuse, the memories of being shut up and shut out, the memories of the cruel words that may have been thrown at you by your children or your parents or your siblings. Find those words in your soul, find the rejection, and let's heal it now. Let's heal it and turn it into love and release it. It doesn't matter. It was then. Let's think now. Let go the past. Let go those memories. And what do we learn from them? We learn how to treat others. We learn how to treat ourselves. We learn that people who've been hurt can hurt others. We can learn to be forgiving and find the peace of forgiveness. Let's let go now. And if you've got threads, break the thread to the people who've hurt you in your family, and all members of your family who've hurt you. A wonderful feeling when you let it go, when it suddenly doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. Because it's not in matter, it's in spirit, and you've transformed it into love, or at least acceptance. Just break the thread now, and let's accept that that's what happened, that's how they were, that's how they treated us. But right now, we're at peace. Right now, we're calm. Right now, you're in a state of love. Right now, you've let go, and you've found that peace of letting go. And maybe it isn't fair. And maybe you're right. You are the victim of them. But you can be greater than the victim. Take back your power. Take back your love. Right now. Right now. Right now. Don't let any single other person in the world define you or control how you feel. Chop, chop, let go. Don't let anyone else control how you feel about yourself, how you feel. Let them break through the threads of control from other people, family members, anyone ever in your life who's tried to control you and hurt you through that control. Reclaim right now your free will, the freedom to love, the freedom to be you, and the freedom to have peace of mind. Claim it right now, right now. Well done. Good. So, we think that families can be tricky. Relationships, romantic partnerships and relationships can be even trickier. And of course, you do have much more opportunity to step away these days. Mainly, we can step away. The days of being locked in through lack of financial support of any kind hopefully have gone, although a lot of the time you will feel that you might be locked in. This is still a tricky area, and we all know that because you work and live so close together when you're in a live-in partnership. And when we fall in love, we open our hearts and we let someone into our hearts. And I see it. I mean, I've done quite a lot of work on the Heart Center, and I don't intend to go too deep today, but we definitely have sort of levels of how close we allow people to get into our hearts. And when I've in, deep meditations, I've gone into my heart, and I've actually seen who I've let in. And it's actually not so very many people that you let right into the very core of your heart. You need to have a lot of trust for that. But it's interesting, there are other levels that you know, the people that you care about a lot, that you have in your heart, you still love them, but you don't let them right into the very core. And it's when you've let somebody deep into the core of your heart that the greatest damage can be done to you. But of course, it's also where the greatest feelings of love come. So we link when we communicate with anybody, when we fall in love, our hearts join through this cord, and it's really beautiful. And we the love flows through this beautiful cord, and the emotions flow both ways. Um, you're emotionally linked, so it means that you're more open and receptive to other emotions other than love. So if your partner is upset with you, you'll feel it a lot more than if the next door neighbor's upset with you, because you've opened up and made this very powerful connection. And we also, our higher selves synchronize. Um, we the vibrations start to move the same way, so we have the same thoughts at the same time. You have that lovely synchronicity, and that's why a partnership, of live-in partnership of any kind, is so incredibly rewarding. But what can go wrong? So we have to look at what goes wrong. It'd be nice if I could just spend the whole time looking at all the good stuff. I've always got to look at the what goes wrong, otherwise I'm not really helping you very much. One of the things that can go wrong is expectations, and I've often seen this with young brides. That's why I've chosen this picture. You know, they're full of, oh, this is happy ever after. The moment of the marriage is the happy ever after. Not so much these days, because we tend to live with each other before we get married, but that is a sort of sense of, this is all going to be perfect now. And of course it isn't. It's never going to be all perfect, because people aren't perfect, so relationships can't be perfect. But the expectations we have, we need to be realistic about. And if we put too high an expectation on someone, if we are creating a situation that they may never be able to meet up to. And the same goes for ourselves. You know, the most uh, unhappy people seem to me to be the ones who set themselves hugely high expectations. And when they don't live up to their own expectations, then they're unhappy. And they're setting themselves up for disappointment. So I just want you to just think about the expectations that you may have in your current relationship, or in past relationships that were not met. Did your Prince Charming let you down in some way? And I could think I could write a book about that, I think. What are your expectations? Just make a note of what they are. And as I said, all of these areas overlap each other. So you may be thinking about um, a friend instead of a partner in terms of expectations, but that's fine. You work on the relationships that are the ones that you know that you need to heal, you need to improve.
And would you mind giving me a couple of examples of,
Expectations.
yeah, of like a well, from
Uh,
my husband.
you expect your husband to remember your birthdays. You expect your husband to remember anniversaries. You expect your husband to um, give as much as you give to him. To share everything, to share his feelings with you, as well as you sharing your feelings with him. You would expect in a loving relationship that you could share how you feel without it coming the other person thinking it's a criticism. That's one that can go wrong. Um, do you expect him to show? Do you expect him to show his love to you all the time? There's a lot of, I know we can say this because I think everybody on here and who's going to be listening to the recording mostly are be, be women. Um, so very often we expect a man to treat us with gentleness, and sometimes they can't. They can't always show their love. We want to have the love shown to us, but if a person hasn't been shown how to love, remember I said at the beginning, sometimes we have to be the teacher because the other person hasn't been shown. The family that I married into, my first husband found it impossible to show any uh, any sign of loving. He couldn't put his arms around me. He couldn't cuddle me. He couldn't do any of that touchy-feely stuff. That was an expectation I had because I came from a family that was very touchy-feely, and I felt completely rejected by him because of that. He did love me a lot though, and we managed to keep the relationship going for 4 years. But his problem was that he didn't know how to do it, and he couldn't bring himself to do it for whatever reason. So my expectations were let down a lot there. I expected to have lots of good sex, and I didn't. Different expectations, uh, and every time that they don't do what you think they're going to do or should do, what you think they should do, then uh, then you're going to feel disappointed. This is quite a frivolous thing, but I remember my stepdaughter Mandy saying that when she broke up with her husband, her next boyfriend, um, she was very upset with him because her husband Ian would always in the winter go and start the car up before they were going anywhere, so that when she went into the car it was warm, and he did that for her all. He was a pretty exceptional actually, of course, but she was then expecting that from her next boyfriend, and lots of other things like that as well. That caused a lot of problems. That was a small frivolous thing, I guess, but those are the things that you have this. If you Can you think now of what is you want him to do that he doesn't do? Yeah. You probably could, as I say, we can often write a book about expectations that are not met. So the first thing that happens is that we go into disappointment. We feel, and we can take this as a rejection of ourselves and that we're not good enough. So if you've got a low esteem issues, if you have confidence issues, what you expect from the other person will magnify them. And I'm really wanting you to do is to see and understand what's going on in your relationship. Maybe there's nothing that's so terrible that person's doing, but it's causing a lot of hurt to you. So maybe you change your way of seeing things and seeing that person, being more accepting of the person being different, being maybe a little bit alien in some ways, because you will go through disappointment, frustration, anger, and then you'll start to demand change, and then you'll end up nagging. That's why I've drawn the picture, got the picture of the nagging in. And then once the nagging starts, that drops the whole vibration of the relationship down. Then you're trying to control him or her to be different. And the other thing that one tends to do is to start to manipulate by making them feel guilty because they didn't do the things you wanted them to do or expected them to do. One of the things you can do is to actually see them in a different light through the prism of acceptance and say that's the way they are. It's a package. I'm just going to come to that, what we can do to help ourselves. But if this is your issue, just give yourself some thought about it. Um, maybe your expectations are too high. Maybe they're not. Only you know that. But just want you to understand why things all go very wrong. And the emotions then that flow when your expectations are not met flow through the cords between you, and it sours and makes the whole relationship toxic. So do you feel anger, disappointment, bitterness, sorrow? All of those things drop the relationship. And maybe you can, with a bit of changing of attitude and perception, you can change that and rescue the relationship. So if you put the intention of recovering and keeping the love as the highest priority, then we start to look at a different perception of it. Rather than be caught up in the upset of the relationship, can we put the top most important thing of all in our intention is to recover and keep the love. So I'm talking about relationships that you want to mend. This is, as I say, can work for any relationship. Accept the differences. Just know that each person is different and unique, different background, different place in their spiritual journey, and different environments that they were brought up in. And treat them as you would like to be treated. This is the role of the teacher, which I mentioned earlier. That very often you are the one who has to be the teacher of how to love gently and kindly and with compassion. You show the tolerance, you show the understanding, and gradually that can spread to the other person. And if it doesn't, after a period of time, then you decide that that person is beyond being taught, and eventually you may decide to separate. But give everything you can, because there was something there in the first place, or else you wouldn't have married them or got close to them. And as I said earlier, accept that there's no one is perfect. No one. And the words I use in my relationship with my husband, it's a package deal. It's a package deal in the fact that he has some great qualities, and I think his great qualities override some of his more irritating habits and behaviour. And I've had to be very tolerant with my husband in sometimes in the past. He's an extreme character, but I love that extreme character, and I love his soul, and I love his heart, and I love his generosity. And that has allowed me to make allowances and accept other aspects of his character, which is a bit naughty, to put it mildly. Not so much now, but definitely in the past. So is the package deal okay in the bigger picture? Step back, the bigger picture. All these things that upset you because of your expectations that aren't met, and your feelings that have been hurt, these emotions build up, and it is essential that you get those emotions out. Otherwise you become more and more bitter, and then more and more negative energy flows down that cord between the two of you. And if you can persuade your partner to do the same, that would be brilliant. And we have done this sort of thing, not necessarily between myself and my husband, but between my husband and myself and our other people in our lives. Now, writing has always been the best one for me. I get the pad of paper and scribble down everything I feel that is hurting. And the great thing about writing is that you can actually get everything out. You don't have to you don't have to be careful about hurting the other person. You can actually pour it all out onto paper. But then you want to transform the energy. So burn the paper, and as you burn it, see that it's turning into light, because it does. The flame is light. It is a wonderful symbolism of transformation, and it is an actual transformation. When we do this, if we were doing this live now, this workshop, I'd be asking you to do this. And some of you have been on workshops with me and have done this live. And when we burn the paper, we've actually seen different coloured smoke coming out of each person's burning as the emotions that each person holds shifts and changes. So if you've got a lot of anger and bitterness, you'll see yellow smoke. Um, if you're feeling a bit reluctant to let go of the emotions, it will take some time to burn the paper. It's amazing how these emotions really do move onto the paper because it's energy. So Jackie, just write down every single thing you feel and then you burn it, and you will be surprised how that makes you feel better. And if you're feeling better, you're able to handle your relationship better. Now, the North American Indians have a way of dealing with emotions. I'm talking about negative ones, obviously. You don't want to throw your joy away. They use obsidian, because obsidian attracts negative energy. And you can buy obsidian tumblestones. And they're called, the reason they're called Apache tears. And they're called Apache's tears because this is what the Apaches used to do, so I'm told. Shout their feelings into the stone, the gemstone. And then what they used to do is they'd stand in the desert and they'd throw it as hard as they could behind them. And that was their way of letting go. They transferred the energy into the stone, which transforms negativity, which obsidian does, and then they throw it away. Now, what the little children, Apache children, were taught was never to pick a stone up off the desert floor without asking permission of it first, because you could be picking up somebody else's tears. But you can do this with any stone. It doesn't have to be obsidian. Obsidian works well because it does absorb negativity. And you may find this really works well to go out into the forest or the woods or wherever you are, as long as there's nobody else around much, or by the sea, and throw your stone into the sea. My dogs are getting rid of their emotions at the moment. Sorry about that. They have no problem getting rid of their emotions. They have a good bark. Okay. The other thing to do is to make sure that you keep the cord between you clear. And again, like we did with the previous relationships, just take the thread. Let's do it now. Take a thread for every, well, you're just doing this for your close relationships, whoever you want to clear. And we're going to, this thread now represents the cord between you. So take your thread and break the thread now. And as you do it, know that's your intention of clearing the heavy emotions that are flowing between you. It feels good. It really feels good. Clearing the energies. And I'm going to take you through a meditation now to clear these low vibrations that run in between you. As I say, if it's not your partner, this can be anybody where you've had a fallout which you want to improve. So just hold in your mind now who it is you want to release and clear, and who you want to go into acceptance. Drop your shoulders, close your eyes. Just imagine yourself walking on a beautiful summer's day through woods with the sun shining through the trees. There's temperatures around 24 degrees, a beautiful, beautiful warmth and day, the light shining. Follow the path, and the path will take you towards a red brick wall. And this red brick wall is your inner garden. And as you get close, you see the gate. Open the gate and step inside. You're stepping into your heart, into the garden of your heart. A place of healing, a place of peace and serenity. And as you walk into the garden, you feel that peace. You feel the calm, sending you energies of peace and calm right now. Further and further into the garden. See all your favorite flowers and trees, plants. Follow the path. Takes you past waterfalls and natural ponds. Takes you past lily ponds, fountains, whatever you want to see in your garden. And you go deeper and deeper and follow the path that flows and meanders its way through deeper and deeper into your heart, until you come to another brick wall, a lovely wall, old wall. And you see a gate, and you open the gate, and you step into your inner sanctuary. And this is where you let those people that you have given your heart to, people you've opened your heart to completely. There's a bench, and it's surrounded by roses. You sit on the bench, and you think of the person who you wish to improve your relationship with. And you sit, and you see them on the other side of the garden. And I'm calling in the energies of love, acceptance. We're bringing the love now to clear the energies between you. And you see all the heavy energy that flows between you, all the misunderstandings, all the hurt, the grief of expectations, all the angry words that have been said, all the angry thoughts that have flowed between you. Now I bring in the love to raise the vibrations, transforming all the negativity and all the pain, and bringing it, rising it up back to the state of love through forgiveness. And I clear and release the karma between you and that person, clearing the karmic ties, clearing the karma that flows between you now, healing the energies between you, dissolving them, transforming them into light, See the energies lifting, all the black blobs that flow between you, dispersing, flying off and turning into light. I'm going to cut the cord between you. And as I do, we release our attachment to the negative thoughts and attitudes that we hold. Release our attachment to any resentments and bitterness. Healing now, right now, right now. Feel the love. Step towards them and put your arms around them. Feel the love. Hold in your mind the intention that relationship is greater than the issues, and the love is greater than everything else. Filling your relationships with love now, right now, right now, right now. Just take a moment or two to invite anybody else in that garden to come forward that you wish to improve and heal the relationship between, and bringing more love and more love in, more love and more love. Releasing all negative influences from outside that may have got in the way. Other people's energies that got entangled into your relationship. Releasing them now. Releasing those entangled cords, the hooks of other people that have tried to disperse, tried to interrupt your relationship. And releasing them all now. Right now, right now, right now. Bringing in blessings for your relationship. Good, good. And set your intention to raise the vibration of all your relationships. Sending love and healing to you to heal the imprint of all the pain of the past as you step forward now. feel yourself stepping forward. Embrace the new day. Gradually come back into your room. I'll be having a Q&A at the end, so if you've got any questions you want to raise, just pop something into the chat box. So now let's see what else you can do to improve things as you go forward. This again, as I say, is mainly focused on partnerships, but it can work for other relationships too. Make sure you talk plenty and keep the communication flowing. And just express what you feel. You know, sometimes we try to please somebody and we become a bit of a not a true vision of ourselves. So it's good to share what you actually really feel, but doing it in a kind and gentle way instead of waiting till it becomes a shouting match. And I find that our time for my husband and I, when we share the most when we go for walks with the dogs, because we're walking side by side, we're outdoors. It just sometimes works better for us that way. And so if I've got something I want to say that's bothering me, that's when I say it. And it tends to go down in a much gentler way than sitting opposite each other over dinner. But that's just us. That's the way it works for us. But I do think having dates, getting out, walking and talking, getting out of the house is good, because sometimes when you're in your own home, it's difficult to bring up subjects, and if you've got children around as well, you just need sometimes to give yourself a chance, and also give yourself some fun time. Have dates, have special events. You know, I know people that have one evening a week where they light the candle and have a special meal, either obviously very much more at home now, but to make a special effort and dress up for each other and keep the romance going. Always look for the bigger picture in your relationship. Um, as I say, the, the, the see the good as well as the bad, and keep focusing on the good and see whether you can't tolerate the rest. And ask yourself, does it really matter who is right? There's a lot of arguments that you have. It doesn't really matter. It's just know when to fold them. What's that expression? Know when to play a card and when to fold, with the gambler's song. Um, know when to fold, when to say, okay, you win, don't worry about it. Yeah, you can win. Well, know which of the wars that were worth fighting, which ones aren't. Save yourself for the ones that really matter. But if things are really bad and you're being abused, there is absolutely no excuse for abuse. And I'm talking about emotional, and mental abuse. A person totally dominating you, shouting you down all the time, trying to control you, won't let you see friends, start to make decisions for you. All these are signs of you've got a narcissist or a sociopath that you're mixing with, and your voice is not heard at all, and you feel yourself being annihilated, feel yourself being diminished completely as a person. Is that just you, or is that a trend of that person to all other people? I don't really care. If you're feeling that you are being abused and you've looked into yourself and you realize that it's not you at all that's creating this, then there's only one thing to do, and that is to step away. Absolutely. Only you can be the one to do that. is this person annihilating? Is this person destroying you? Without you wanting to be the victim, is this what's happening? But always, always look to take on responsibility for healing your wounds of the past as well. Right, now let's going to look at this situation that comes up very often, where you have a situation where you feel you can't live with somebody, but you also can't live without them. It can be that you're a twin flame or a soulmate, and you could be in that person's life specifically as a role that you've decided, both of you, to play for each other when in your life purpose. And when before you're born, we connect with soulmates and other souls to help us learn lessons and to find things in ourselves. And sometimes we're looking to find this inner strength. Sometimes we're looking to find self-love. We're always looking for self-love, but for some people it's harder than others. And it may be a key focus in your lifetime. You can look back on your past relationships and see what's gone wrong. And you might be able to see that you've learned quite a lot from them, from what the experience of being with that person has brought you. I've been married twice, and I look back and I think, and I had a live-in partner for a while, and it's good for me to look back and think, what did I learn from a husband that didn't want sex, couldn't touch me, and had depression? I learned what mental illness was about because I was living with it. I learned how destructive that can be in a relationship, and how difficult it is for the other person as well as the person who's suffering. Very hard, because you can't fix it. It's not a thing you can fix. I also learned how much I value a person who can give and show me love, and that's what I need. It's also a test of your resilience to carry on finding the happiness in your life and not rely on someone else to make you happy. That I learned, that it really is important. And also to be discerning who you mix and mingle with. All the signs of my problem marriage were there before I got married. I didn't see them, I didn't want to see them. So that's another thing I learned. But most important, to carry on being happy. I kept myself happy after I got over the shock of what I'd married into. I said, I still love my husband. He's a lovely man. I just couldn't do it. And then I put myself back into my own resources to make myself happy. And I learned that I could do that. And that helped build up my inner strength to feel that, yeah, I could still find things I could do, friendships I could make, pastimes, my job, my career. There were lots of other things where I could find joy and happiness. So I knew I could live then, from that moment, without anybody else, if I really had to, and still be happy. And I wasn't in the situation. I have to be, the only way I could be happy is to have a baby, because that went wrong and I couldn't. The only way I could be happy is to have a loving partner. That went wrong, but I could still be happy without that. And that gave me a lot of inner strength. So if you look back on the past relationships, you probably find that there's a lot you gained from them. So the other thing is that there are sometimes karmic ties that act as rubber bands, that we've made promises and vows that we're always going to be with each other. And I'm just going to have a look at karmic ties, because they can be the cause of this sort of relationship where you break up, you go together, you part, and you find you can't live apart, you come back together. and it's like you're on a rubber band. So let's just have a little bit of a look at this. What create karmic ties? Well, if you've made a vow or a promise in a previous lifetime that is so intense, from so much from your soul and from your heart, it can be that it causes a, a link between you that is not going to be broken from one lifetime to another, especially if you said, for example, as I have put here, I will be with you forever and ever. Yeah, even marriage vows don't say forever and ever anymore. They say until both of us, well, both of us are alive. So you're not forcing yourself into a relationship contract, a binding contract that goes on and on and on. And it's karmic because if you break it, it puts you into the state of feeling of guilt because you've broken a promise. So they're very strong ties. And you may find that when you meet someone who you've made a karmic vow with or created a karmic tie with, that you feel like you know them straight away. But then when you have the relationship, it doesn't work out. And you think, that's strange. I really felt this was the person that was right for me because I felt that recognition. Well, it could be the karmic tie is the thing that's causing the problem. And of course, when you come back into a different lifetime, it's it's such a different personality and scene. So these old promises that you made are now acting like chains. So I don't know whether any of you feel that. If you have, we're going to do some clearing. This might be the underlying source of your problem, really, that why you can't resolve it. Because you don't want to be with somebody just because you made a promise 5 lifetimes ago or even longer. You might have made a lifetime a promise when you were in a completely different scenario to the one you're in now. You want to be clear of those karmic ties and promises and allow just the love of your current situation to bring you together. So let's see. So I don't know whether and this karma can be in any relationship. We're talking about karma now as well. So it's karmic ties, which we'll deal with in a minute, and we're going to clear all these karmic ties and so on in a minute. But I want to talk a little bit more about karma that might be affecting other relationships in your life. For example, if your boss treats you like a servant, it could be that you were his servant in a previous lifetime. Or he was your servant and you treated him badly. And this is your karma, your response of karma. What you give out, you get back. You could be experiencing the backlash of karma. An employee that seems to work against you and dislike you. And you may find that every business you try to start up crashes for some reason. And it could be that you deliberately destroy somebody else's business in a previous lifetime. So let's see what that could be in your relationships. If your mother is jealous of you, maybe you stole a partner from her in a previous lifetime when she was not your mother, but the wife of your lover. maybe you were the mistress. As your father abandoned you because he was your son in a previous lifetime and you abandoned him. Now, often these things come up when we have our one-to-one sessions, in our healing sessions, and I see, and your other healers that you work with can see the past lives. Maybe you can see the past life yourself. But you don't have to see the past life to be able to clear the karma. But it would be good to have the intention of anybody who you feel that you might have a karmic relationship with. And it doesn't, and it can be a loving karmic relationship that can work. My husband and I have definitely had lots of lifetimes together, and we had a lifetime where we split up with huge impact on us both. This lifetime we are okay, we're fine. So it's beautiful karma. But there are lots of situations where the karma can be very hurtful and upsetting. So any really, really difficult relationships you've got, write them down and we'll address them in our karmic clearing. Right. So you can all say this out loud. I think you're all muted, so you can say these things out loud. And I know we've done a lot of clearing, some of us together, but we're like, remember, we're like onions and we're peeling away different layers. So something that you may not have thought of, or a person or a situation that you haven't thought about healing this way before, may be relevant now. So let's say this, and we can all say it together because we're all in our own place. So I'll read it out. I release and dissolve all vows and promises I have ever made that bind me to someone unsuitable for my highest good in this lifetime. I release them now, right now, right now. You can do the chop chop, or you can break your thread. Ooh. Mhm. And now for you, I will bring in, I release your karma, your personal karma, with love, grace, and forgiveness, and release all sense of guilt you may be feeling about the way you treated a soul in a previous lifetime. We release the karma between you and all souls that are in this lifetime with you, causing a problem, hurting, or difficulties for you. And we release and bring balance back between you right now, right now, right now. The lessons are learned, the love flows, and forgiveness flows, and karma is cleared. Right now, right now, right now. And every one of you, every single one of you is affected by this. Every one of you has a release one relationship that is karmic. Releasing all guilt, all shame, bringing back love, understanding, right now, right now, right now. Good. Well done. It's good. Right. Moving on now to see other situations that can create. I mentioned a little bit about soulmates already, but soulmates can come in any role. They can come as bosses, sisters, brothers, mothers, fathers, children, stepchildren, next door neighbours, friends, very often friends too. They're here to help you learn a life lesson. My father, my natural father, left the day I was born, but that was to teach me that I don't believe that blood is thicker than water, in the sense that my stepfather's love for me and his kindness to me, I value, and probably value in him almost more than I would if he'd been my father, because he didn't have to. He didn't have that sense of duty to the same level as a natural father would normally have. And I can understand, and I see that it is the role we play in life that matters, and how we play it, not necessarily the sense of the duty of it. So that was good for me. Um, I know that my first husband taught me a lot of lessons. So they can often be in your life to help you through a difficult patch and teach you something valuable and uplifting. It doesn't always have to be through the negative. It can be through the joy of being with someone who's come in to bring you joy. My first dogs that we had, he brought so much love to me and made me understand unconditional love really well. Um, so he's a soulmate. He's a soulmate. So um, you might want to think about uh, the people who've influenced you quite strongly in your life. These would be soulmates. Just take a moment to think about who they might be, who your soulmates might be. You see them in a different light when you realize that they've come with a purpose of helping you or teaching you something, as opposed to just being your brother, sister, or mother. Puts a different light on them when you realize, and then you can be more grateful to them too, which I think is a beautiful. Gratitude is a beautiful energy, and it does lift you up. Um, it puts you into a good place. Being grateful for what you've got, grateful for beauty in nature, grateful for what someone's done for you. All that's a very uplifting energy. Okay, so what else? Um, there are other things that can affect your life considerably, and your relationships, and you may find that you have patterns. So genetics, um, your lineage can affect your relationships. You can have um, a curse that's come down through your family, or an attitude that everybody in your family has. You could all be in your family, could be all very anxious, or all very prickly and touchy. You can all be a little bit arrogant, or you can be ultra humble. There can be genetic attitudes that flow through your family, caused by things that have happened to your ancestors, and that's left a mark. You might be carrying a lot of guilt through your genetics and your race. It's always genetics. So that's something else that we need to heal, to put our attention to send the love through, to raise the vibrations of your DNA, and through the lineage of your ancestors. I mention a curse because you may have been cursed yourself or through your family line not to have a happy marriage, to find love in relationships. Those sort of curses are often put on by jealous other parties. Um, so, do you have a pattern where none of your relationships kick off, or you only fall in love with people who will not be committed to you? Is there a pattern there in your life, in your relationships? Do you turn people away before they get close? These are the patterns we need to heal. They can be caused by curses, genetics, or your own past lives, things that have happened to you in the past, as well as things that happened in your childhood, but things that happened in past lives. But it also creates not just partnerships, but your neighbors, your employees, your friends, your lovers. Just write down for a moment any pattern you see that keeps recurring. And then put them on your to-do list that this is an intention to heal this pattern. Looks like I'm trying to sell a film here.
And I don't really know how to kind of really explain it to myself or anyone else, really, what happens with me, but I seem to get situations where people get angry with me.
Okay.
I don't really know why.
Okay. Well, put that on your list or in your head. I know you're relaxing, but put that on your list. That that the anger that you draw towards you is obviously there's something within you that's a magnet for that anger. Okay. So what you're looking to release and heal is the magnet that attracts anger. You don't really need to know much more than that at the moment. Just put that intention, because that will take you with your intention, with your energy and your spirit, will take you to that wounding. It was a good point to raise. It's how other people treat you. Why do they treat you like that? Because there's something within you that attracts it. And that can be karma. When we've done some work on karma, it can be a curse. You could be cursed that nobody's going to love you. They're all going to reject you. So we're going to clear that just now. I'm going to do a healing to clear these things.
So what do I have to, what is it I have to?
You have to say your intention is to release the magnet that you hold that attracts anger from other people. Okay? So you're taking responsibility for it, even though you may not, it may not be you caused it. Doesn't matter. You own it. You own the magnet. It's part of you that causes this to happen, that people are angry with you or antagonistic towards you. So then when we come to the healing, I'll go through the different reasons that could be to release it. Okay? Some people find that without them saying a word, people sort of don't listen to anything they say. That's another magnet that's in place.
Happens to me as well. Well, but they obviously are listening, because they then go and like repeat it like as if it's their own.
Well, they're stealing part of your ideas. So that's another. But you're attracting that in. It's the magnet that the imprint within you that attracts that situation. I'm going to picture it somewhere. I can't find it at the moment. But when your soul is damaged, because for any of these reasons that I've just mentioned in here, it creates a sort of like a black blob. This is the way I describe it. And it's a magnet, and it's a low vibrational energy, and it brings in over and over again until you decide that black blob's got to go, which is that decision you're making now, that you're going to heal whatever it is within you that attracts that behavior from other people. The situation, you get people who say, well, people always patronize me, talk down to me. There's all that sort of, so any of you have got that issue, of any kind of that sort of issue, make your intention to clear the imprint, the magnet that's attracting it. And the magnet and the imprint can come from genetics, your past life, or a curse. Absolutely. Another one can be that you are made to feel that you don't deserve anything good. That again can be a curse. Or a past life where you've actually said, I don't deserve anything good anymore. I'm useless. You might have even been saying it to yourself in this lifetime. I'm useless. I don't deserve it. It's unlikely. But you've done it at some stage, or somebody's done it to you at some stage, and now we have to let it go. Okay. Good. So there's a meditation healing that I want to do now to clear these things that are causing these things to be, these attitudes of people towards you. So order in your mind your intention, very strong intention of your own, to release and heal these magnets, these imprints. Okay. Open your heart to receive the healing. And I put out my intention to heal and release all imprints from past lives, all curses, and all genetic lineage issues that have caused you to be treated this way, and this pattern of behavior towards you, this magnet within you. That is my intention. It is your intention, and it is divine intention. For it is your will to heal, and your soul's intention to heal itself in this moment. And I call in this highest frequency of energy that you need at this time to raise and lift the imprint, to dissolve it and turn it into an understanding and turn it into love. Going through your genetics now, going back through your family line, healing and releasing all negative blocks, all attitudes inherited from one generation to another, and all curses placed upon your ancestors. 'Tis the will, in the name of the light, we release and clear them now through you, your will, divine will, and the light. For you, all souls infected, affected, and now through you, in your generation, and the next generation, and those to come. Healing now, right now, right now. Releasing all curses, all attitudes, all imprints that come down through your ancestral line. We're healing and releasing all imprints and magnets that you hold, created from past lives experiences, past lives attitudes, past life curses, all negative energies that you've picked up and are holding as a magnet from your past lives, clearing your soul and your heart right now, right now, right now. Clearing all imprints affecting your relationships right now, right now, right now. Calling in blessings, calling in insights and understandings, connecting you to your higher self, allowing your innate and earned wisdom from all lifetimes to flow through you now, right now, right now. And I bring you back to who you are, this beautiful being of spirit. And spirit wishes you to release the past, to let go of all attachments to your past that are not proving beneficial to you. To see yourself for who you are, this beautiful being of spirit, playing a role in life down here this time to find love in yourself. And we release and clear all blocks between you and your loving self. See the love that you are. Accept the love that you are. Rise above the wounds and the hurts and see the love, the shining light that you are. And see it right now, right now, right now. Make an intention above all else to love yourself, to accept yourself. You are unique. You have a character, personality that's all been planned. The day you were born, the influence of the stars, the timing of your birth, the place of your birth, the choice of parents, the plan with your soulmates, all planned, scripted before you came. Then the free will to tweak it and change it and suit yourself once you got here. But all down to you. This is your life, and it's you that can make the change. Accept yourself as this beautiful being of spirit, and all else flows from that. All else flows from the love that is you, truly you. Remember, your soul was created of pure love. You then went through many lifetimes of being beaten up, battered, hurt, rejected, challenged. Those are the wounds, but they're not the love. They're not the true you. Once you heal the wounds, all that's left is the love. Let the love dominate. Let the love be the greatest part of who you are. So lovely to have you back and be back with you now. If there are any questions you want to ask me, this is a good time. You can actually unmute and ask the question directly because we're a smallish group, so that's fine. Anybody's got any questions? Anything they want to say? Anything they want to share? I think Sandra, I need to unmute you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can, Sandra. Sorry. Yes.
Thank you. When you were doing the clearings from just now from the past lives, I started coughing and coughing. And I think one of the things I'd written down was not being listened to sometimes and not being noticed.
Right. It's definitely, and that is one that a lot of spiritual teachers, healers, light workers suffer from, because we were persecuted for our beliefs and what we said. And very often we've made vows as well to sort of never to make waves again. Super.
Yeah.
So it's a big one for me too, my throat. I was healing someone the other day and I felt like I was literally I was being strangled there.
Yeah.
It's not unusual. That pain can be so intense. And then the problem is also if when we're carrying any of these imprints, when we speak through them. So people, pick up our reservations and our lack of confidence or all these things they pick up through when we speak, if this energy. So just focus an awful lot on the intention to clear the throat chakra.
Yeah.
Once you make that a high priority, then things start to help you. Then things come along that help you. I remember a girlfriend of mine said, right, she's Sally, the one who helped me start my work. She said, oh, right, you're going to be in a play, because I was going to do a workshop and the authorities were trying to stop me doing it. So we stopped the workshop. It's a persecution in modern day.
Yeah.
And then she said, right, you're going to be in a play. And I had to act a play. She made me do it, live play. And I'm fine without a script. I am paranoid with a script. I do not like to have a script. She made me have a script. And it was so good for me. Really, my voice really helped me, yeah. So join the Andrew M group, Sandra. There you go.
Well, I used to do a lot of that actually when I was younger.
Go back to it now. It's a nice place to meet fun people as well. Evelyn, darling, have you managed to survive the rain? Have you been completely drowned?
Actually, there was a time where I was completely drowned, but it seems to have stopped now. So, yeah, that was a quite long session. Thank you.
That's a long session. And I think the rain might have been a cleanser,
Yes, it was just thunderstorms, huge. I thought I'd be stranded down here, but
bless you.
Very good. Yeah.
Good. Anybody got anything they want to ask or share?
But
yeah,
I would like to ask. I have been. I don't know if it's something I ate or something, but this week I've been, like yesterday, last night I was throwing up and then diarrhea and stuff like that. So do you think, I mean, could it have something to do with the healing that I've been getting? Yes.
Okay. Definitely. And now I'm smiling. It's not, I shouldn't be smiling at your discomfort.
Yes. As long as it's for a good purpose.
Yes, it's like when people start to cry in a healing session, and I'm going, that's good. It's good. But it is a good sign. It's definitely a very good
that's
sign.
good.
Especially with the stuff that you've been shifting lately. You've worked so hard. You deserve for it to start to really shift now. Yeah,
thanks.
Yeah, you're all hard work at your healing, and the hardest thing of all is I think, is the day when you decide that it is you that has to do this, and you can do nothing about the other people. They are going to carry on doing what they are. They are what they are. That annoys me, that expression, a little bit, but it's true. They are what they are, and the only thing that's ever going to change is the way you manage your way of working with them. And that's the bottom line of it. It's nothing. There's no magic trick out there to change them. Ironically and interestingly, as you change, a lot of people do change the way they react towards you, but it's not a given, because their stuff might be hugely ingrained, and it might be just who they are. You chose to have them in your life. That you have to take that responsibility. You have to, because if you don't, you're the victim of them. And there's a huge shift when you say, guess what? I chose all this. Right, okay, now am I going to manage it? I started it, I've got to finish it, sort of thing. And you do remember that this lifetime isn't a forever ever situation. This is, you're here for a purpose, and it's the love, and finding the love in yourself is the key. If you wanted to shut all the other lovely life purposes are all down to one thing, you're here to find love, and you have to find it in yourself. Otherwise, it's back here again, and God knows what it's going to be like in another 50 years down here. Do you want to come back here in 50 years' time? Maybe you do, but wouldn't it be good to clear it all and sort it all this time, and then go live on Venus or something like that? I know it's great in this earth, but it's not going to be quite the same in future. I'm not trying to threaten you into getting down there and doing that healing. And remember, everything changes with your own intention. It starts with your intention. That's the starting point. If that's your intention, then that will happen eventually. It will definitely happen. And if your intention is to blame somebody else, nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to change at all. So it's time to close. Send you lots of love. Thank you. And I'm sending love to the people who are going to be watching this afterwards, because there's a few of you I know coming later, as it were. So bless you all. And if you would like a recording, do you want a recording? Does anybody not want a recording? Well, I'll ask Brenda. Yeah, maybe said get, didn't I? I'll ask Brenda nicely to send you the link once it's been put up.
Thanks.
Thank you very much, Anne.
Thank you, Anne.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks,
Bye.
Jackie.
Bye.
Very much.
Thank you, San. Thanks, Sandra. Bless you.
Thank you.
Very much.